You know that feeling, right? That little tingle starts, and boom, there it is again. Another cold sore.
Yeah.
It's not just how it looks or the embarrassment. It's that nagging pain, sometimes even before the blister shows up.
Mhm.
And you feel like, okay, what can I really do besides wait it out? So today, we're pushing past those common ideas, the usual advice. We're doing a deep dive into herpes labial, what really triggers it, and exploring some, well, powerful natural ways to maybe find some real lasting resolution.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's this kind of a paradox, isn't there? We hear all the time, stay out of the sun. But, sunlight is fundamental for life. How can something so vital be the bad guy here? Often that advice is, let's say, a bit misleading. So the mission today is figuring out why these reactivations happen, what's actually going on inside your body, and crucially, what steps you can take that are maybe more aligned with, well, how our bodies work.
Okay, let's get into that, because one thing that struck me prepping for this was how connected this whole thing is.
Yeah.
Herpes labial, the cold sore virus.
Oh.
It's not just its own little problem, is it? You mentioned it's the same virus family as genital herpes and even shingles. How does that work?
Exactly. It helps to see the bigger picture. They all belong to this large family called herpes viridae, and that family includes varicella, that's chickenpox, but also things like Epstein-Barr virus, cytomegalovirus. I mean, most of us probably had chickenpox as kids, right?
Yeah, I definitely did.
And that leaves you with lifelong immunoglobulins. Think of them like really specific memory cells for your immune system. They're tools, basically. Highly trained little antibodies that help fight off other things later on. And just as a side note, this same viral family can sometimes be involved in things like Bell's palsy, facial paralysis. It just highlights how these viruses can have wider effects if things get out of balance. So this brings up a really key idea. What happens when our internal environment, let's say the playing field, gets muddy? When things are confusing for the immune system, it starts struggling to tell things apart. Is this helpful? Is this harmful? Is this, a problem or solution? Or even worse, is this actually me, my own tissue?
Right.
This immune system confusion, or you could call it cellular confusion, it's really important. Because when your body is having trouble distinguishing friend from foe, or even itself, it's not as good at keeping those latent viruses, like herpes simplex, under wraps. That internal chaos, that inflammation we'll talk about, it can basically create the perfect opportunity for the virus to wake up. And sometimes it can even contribute to autoimmune reactions.
Okay, so that leads back to the sun thing. If the internal environment is key, how does the standard advice avoid sun exposure fit in? Or does it? You called it misleading earlier.
Yeah, it often is. I mean, think about it physiologically. Sunlight is a natural stimulus. It's essential. It's not inherently an aggression against your body. The herpes simplex virus, it doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It actually sort of camps out or goes dormant deep inside the trigeminal nerve. That's a major nerve in your face.
Okay.
So the virus doesn't reactivate because of the sun hitting your skin directly. It reactivates because your body is already in a state of, let's call it, chronic low-grade inflammation.
Inflammation.
Okay.
From what?
Well, it usually stems from ongoing lifestyle factors, things like a poor diet, maybe not moving enough, not getting enough rest, and the big one, chronic stress. It's your body's internal state, not the external sunlight itself, that really rolls out the welcome mat for the virus to start replicating again.
Chronic stress. You mentioned that's the big one.
It really is. I'd say chronic stress is the #1 trigger for reactivating herpes labial. And actually, same goes for vaginal or genital herpes, too.
And when you say chronic stress, what exactly are we talking about? Not just having a tough week.
No, exactly. We mean stress that's persistent long-term. Stuff that goes on way past what our bodies are designed to handle, maybe beyond, say, 3 months or so.
Yeah.
Think about a really difficult work environment, maybe a toxic one, or dysfunctional relationships, family stress, or the emotional weight from big personal setbacks like, a betrayal, heartbreak, or constantly worrying about someone's health.
Yeah, those things that just grind you down over time.
Precisely. They accumulate.
And it's not always those big, obvious things either, is it? What about the more modern stressors? Like just feeling constantly on, that mental hyperactivity, or maybe even workaholism, thinking our energy is limitless.
Oh, absolutely. That constant push, that feeling that you have to be productive every single second.
Yeah.
It's a huge drain. We overexert our psychocognitive systems, our physiological systems, and eventually, that pressure, that drain, it decants, as you might say, into our miseries. It manifests physically.
Okay, so if stress and inflammation are the root issues, how do we approach this differently? You mentioned natural strategies being more resolutive.
Yes. The idea behind natural approaches is usually to aim for genuine long-term resolution. It takes time, it takes patience. This is quite different from conventional treatments like, say, topical creams or even oral antivirals sometimes. Those are often more like patches. They manage the symptom, they're palliative, but they don't necessarily fix the underlying imbalance.
Right. They stop the current outbreak, but maybe not the next one.
Exactly. And a quick word on antibiotics is sometimes people think they might help, but herpes is a virus, not bacteria. Antibiotics won't help, and they can actually harm your gut microbiome, which is crucial for your immune system. So you might weaken your defenses further.
Got it. So for someone listening who wants those resolutive strategies, what are the practical steps? Where do we start? You mentioned stress management first. What does that look like practically?
Well, some simple things can make a surprising difference. For example, when you wake up, try just doing nothing for 15 minutes. Seriously. Just sit, maybe look out the window, don't grab your phone.
Okay, resist the urge.
Yeah. And maybe delay breakfast for an hour after waking. Also, hold off on coffee for the first hour or two after you get up. And definitely avoid it for, say, 4 or 5 hours before bed. These little tweaks help manage your cortisol rhythm.
Interesting. Simple timing things.
Simple, but effective over time. And of course, there are the well-known practices. Meditation, yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, Qigong, anything that helps calm the nervous system.
Makes sense. And what about sleep? That always seems crucial.
Absolutely essential. Sleep is when your body and your immune system do their major repair work. For support, sometimes 10 milligrams of melatonin can be helpful. You could also look into GABA, maybe combine them.
Okay.
And ashwagandha is worth mentioning. It's an adaptogen, which means it helps your body adapt to stress, potentially modulating those cortisol levels we talked about.
Right. And then rounding it out, the overall lifestyle.
Exactly. Holistic habits. It comes back to the fundamentals. Regular physical activity doesn't have to be intense, just consistent movement, getting that quality sleep. And importantly, getting contact with nature and, yes, sunlight. Sensible sun exposure.
Okay, so we're bringing the sun back in a healthy way.
In a healthy, balanced way, yes.
Now, what about supplements? You mentioned a few key players.
Yes, supplements can provide targeted support alongside those lifestyle changes. Omega-3 fatty acids are important, specifically EPA and DHA. They're anti-inflammatory. Resveratrol is another powerful antioxidant. Vitamin C is obviously key for immune support. Vitamin E is another good antioxidant. And zinc is crucial for immune cell function.
Okay, that's a helpful list. But you emphasized one in particular earlier.
Ah, yes. The crucial player, I would say, especially for herpes viruses, is L-lysine.
Lysine, how does that work?
So the herpes virus needs another amino acid called arginine to replicate, to make copies of itself. L-lysine essentially competes with arginine. By taking L-lysine daily, say around 1,000 milligrams, you kind of asphyxiate the virus. You make it harder for it to get the building blocks it needs.
Wow, okay, so it interferes directly with its replication.
Exactly. Now, this isn't a quick fix. It's a long-term strategy. We're talking 6 months, maybe even a year or two, for potentially full resolution. So patience is absolutely key here. But it's often very effective for both labial, cold sores and genital herpes.
So consistency over time is the name of the game there.
Absolutely. And one more to mention, propolis. It's a resinous mixture that honeybees produce. It has potent antiviral properties, specifically shown to target herpes simplex. It can actually be combined quite nicely with L-lysine for potentially an enhanced effect.
Okay, fantastic. So bringing this all together for our listeners, what's the main takeaway here? We've really gone beneath the surface, haven't we? Beyond just the annoying cold sore itself, to understand these, surprising links to our immune system, our stress, our whole lifestyle.
Precisely. And the takeaway is that by taking this broader view, a holistic, natural, and importantly, patient approach, you can actually work towards a truly resolutive outcome. It's about addressing the root causes, the internal imbalances, not just constantly managing the symptoms. It offers the possibility of actually saying goodbye to those recurring outbreaks.
So perhaps the final thought for you listening is this. How might this deep dive into something as common as a cold sore change how you look at other health challenges you might face?
Yeah.
Maybe understanding this interplay, how chronic internal imbalances can show up as external symptoms, and how sustained natural interventions targeting the root cause can lead to profound, lasting well-being. Maybe that's the real aha moment we can all take away.